Hello everyone, my name is Mehak Chawla and I am pursuing my BTech in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence from IIT Roorkee. In this video PPT, I would be discussing a problem statement which we can resolve using C++ programming language. So let us look into the problem statement. Printing perfect numbers in C++. In this presentation, we would be dealing what are perfect numbers, what is the algorithm used, and lastly and most importantly, the implementation and execution of the code. So, what are perfect numbers? A perfect number is a positive integer whose sum of its proper divisors is equal to the number itself. We can understand this with the help of an example. Let us take any positive integer, say 6. We can see that the proper divisors of 6 are 1, 2, and 3, and the sum of them comes out to be 6. That is the number itself. Hence, we can conclude that 6 is a perfect number. We can also verify this with the help of the formula mentioned over here. In this particular formula, p is a prime number. In the case of 6, we obtain the value of p as 2. Also, we can see that for each prime number, we can obtain the corresponding perfect number as well. Now let us move on to the algorithm part. I have majorly divided it into 4 steps, which is first step is to specify the limit up to which we would be printing the perfect numbers. In the further step, we would check for each integer value I lying between 1 and the limit, whether the sum of divisors of that particular number satisfies the condition of perfection or not. Here, by the condition of perfection, I mean that the sum of its proper divisors is equal to number itself or not. If the number successfully satisfies the condition, we print it in the form of result. This algorithm has majorly two parts. In the first part, we will be discussing the working of the function sum of divisors, which is defined by on our own. Here we initialize sum equals to 0. Next, we iterate an integer value I from 1 to num. Here num is the number entered by the user, whose sum of factors is to be calculated. Next, we check whether the integer I divides num or not. If it successfully divides num, then we take the particular value of I and add it to the sum. If it fails to divide, then we drop the particular value of I. Finally, we obtain the sum of divisors as the output. In the second flowchart, we see the working of the main function. Here we first of all specify the limit n, which is entered by the user. Next, we iterate an integer value I from 1 to n, on which the function we have defined earlier is implemented, and the sum of divisors is checked whether it fulfills the condition of perfection or not. If it successfully fulfills the condition, then we print the particular value of I, and if it fails to do so, then that particular value of I is dropped. Finally, we obtain the list of all the perfect numbers up to the given limit. Let us see its implementation in the code. Here we have the clipping of the code and output as well. Here for the output, I have taken the example of a limit, say 45. We can see that the perfect numbers up to 45 are 6 and 20. Hence, we can verify that the program we have created runs successfully and correctly. Now let us move on to the explanation of the code. As we have discussed earlier, this code has two major parts, two major functions, sum of divisor function and main function. The sum of divisor function gives the output as the sum of the factors of the number entered by the user, which is further used in the main function. The main function executes the code and gives us the final output as the list of the perfect numbers printed. For the further explanation, we may now move to the IDE. Here you can see that in the first line, we have included the library IOStream. which allows us to use the input and output operations. Next, we have using namespace std. Here, it helps us to enable the use of the prefix standard and avoids us the repetition of this prefix in front of the objects such as cout and cin and makes the code more convenient and readable. In the next line, we have defined the function sum of divisors as an integer as we are returning an integer value out of this function. Next, we have used the for loop. Here we've iterated the value I from 1 to num and checked and we have checked whether the I divides the num or not in the conditional statement if. Finally, we return sum as the sum of divisors of the value num. Next, we have the main body, in which first of all we have specified the limit up to which we would be printing the perfect numbers. Next, for each value of I lying between 1 and n, we have checked the condition using the sum of divisors function. Again, by using the conditional statement. If the particular value of I satisfies the condition, we have printed it into the form of the output. So this was our whole code. Finally, we can conclude that the program which we have created effectively identifies and prints the perfect number up to a given limit, which is specified by the user. Lastly, I would like to thank you for your precious time, and I hope that I was able to make you understand with the problem statement.